This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where the performance of Veltima fungicide can take your best result even further. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Joe Everett. Well, currently 66 degrees outside, and if you're going to be working around the farm today, make sure you plan for another warm one. We will see a high in the mid-80s. Some quick calendar reminders, powered by Soy Biodiesel. Make sure you tune in at midday as we visit and get an update from the folks at Ohio's Corn and Wheat. Then make sure to mark your calendar to visit the annual Greenville Farm Power of the Past at the Darke County Fairgrounds July 10th through the 13th in Greenville, Ohio. Visit greenvillefarmpower.org for full details. Well, the National Association of State Departments of Agriculture concluded an inbound trade mission with a high-level Moroccan agricultural delegation in June. The visit further strengthened bilateral agricultural cooperation and deepened ties between the U.S. and Morocco, laying important groundwork for continued engagement. The mission also opened new avenues for collaboration and future trade opportunities. The visit was an important step in further strengthening agricultural ties between Morocco and the United States, said the National Association of States Departments of Agriculture CEO Ted McKinney. It's clear there's a strong appetite on both sides to build long-term trade relationships grounded in shared value and innovation. Moroccan leaders expressed a strong interest in expanding agriculture partnerships with the United States. Throughout the mission, delegates explored opportunities for trade collaboration in areas like soil management, biotechnology, food safety, drought resilience, and many other areas. The Moroccan delegation included senior officials from the country's Food Safety Authority and executives from leading Moroccan agriculture organizations. Now let's look at the numbers from this week's Ohio Crop Progress Report, which is sponsored by Unleaded 88. Save on fuel with the blue handle. Fill up with Unleaded 88. Discover more at ohiocornandwheat.org. Starting with the national numbers, corn silking was pegged at 18%. That's 4 percentage points behind last year's 22%, but 3 percentage points ahead of the 5-year average of 15%. Corn in the dough stage was estimated at 3%, steady with last year and slightly ahead of the 5-year average of 2%. As we turn to the crop condition, estimated that 74% of the crop was in good to excellent condition, up 1 point from 73% the previous week, and 6 points ahead of last year's 68%. As we turn to soybeans, 96% of the soybeans had emerged as of Sunday. That's 2 points behind last year and the 5-year average of 98%. Soybeans blooming were pegged at 32%, consistent with last year, and 1 point ahead of the 5-year average of 31%. Soybean setting pods were estimated at 8%, also equal to last year, and up 2 points from the 5-year average of 6%. As we look to the crop condition, estimated that 66% of the soybeans were in good to excellent condition, unchanged from the previous week, and 2 points below 68% last year. 7% of the soybeans were rated very poor to poor, unchanged from the previous week, and 1 point below last year's 8%. Now looking to winter wheat, as for the harvest progress, harvest maintained a steady pace last week, moving ahead 16 percentage points to reach 53% complete nationwide as of Sunday. That is 9 points behind last year's 62% and 1 point behind the 5-year average pace of 54%. As for its crop condition, 48% of the crop remaining in the field was rated in good to excellent condition, unchanged from the previous week, and 3 points below from 51% a year ago. Now looking at your numbers from the Buckeye State, corn silking is at 8% this week. That's up 6 percentage points from last week and is 2 points ahead of the 5-year average. As for its crop condition, 57% of the corn was rated in good to excellent condition. Now as we look to soybeans, soybeans blooming are at 16% this week. That's a jump of 11% over last week, but is still 5 points behind the 5-year average. As for their crop condition, 54% of the soybeans were rated in good to excellent condition. Now as we look to winter wheat, harvest is moving right along if you've looked around the Buckeye State, with 48% of the crop harvested, slightly below the 52% average. As for the crop condition, 63% of the winter wheat is rated in good to excellent condition. Stay tuned, we'll be back with today's weather after this.
Nearly 90% of farmers say that financial worries, constantly changing market conditions, and other uncontrollable variables take a toll on their mental well-being. Add in the weather and family dynamics, well, it's a lot to handle alone. But did you know farmers and their families can receive free confidential services from licensed professionals? Support is available 24/7 to help with the challenges you face. Look for Farm Family Wellness Alliance under the Resources tab at farmfoundation.org. Take care of yourself. Your well-being matters.
You're tuning in on the Ohio AgNet. Today's weather brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Summertime in Ohio. We should not be surprised at anything that's going to be coming out of my mouth here in the forecast over the next minute or so. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at your forecast update. We are dry pretty much all today in the Buckeye State, and humidity values are probably going to be the best that they will be this week. That doesn't mean they're low, but they're probably going to be the most comfortable for the rest of the week. Now, as we move into tomorrow, humidity values creep up. I still think we're mostly dry during the day, but overnight tomorrow night into early Thursday, hit and miss of scattered showers coming through. A few hundreds to a few tenths, no more than half an inch, all in, all done. Coverage only about 60%. Your Thursday is mostly dry, but seeing a lot of clouds linger, and humidity values are really uncomfortable. And Friday, we're looking at a very uncomfortable setup as well as temperatures climb with the humidity staying strong. That leads to a frontal boundary impacting us for Saturday into early Sunday. Right now putting in anywhere from a quarter to 3/4 of an inch across 80% of the Buckeye State. Behind that, we're dry for next Monday and Tuesday. Humidity values not falling off very much at all. And then we're quite juicy, quite muggy the second half of next week into the following weekend. Well above normal temperatures are headed towards us for the week of the 21st. So we're building next week to get there. And dew points are going to be likely in the 70s for most of the second half of next week. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Well, the farm safety net improvements start with the 2026 crop year now that President Trump has signed his signature tax, farm, immigration, and defense bill. Farmers have been without a new farm bill since 2023, with the 2018 law extended twice since then. But with President Trump signing his so-called One Big Beautiful Bill at the White House, help is on the way.
So this bill will fuel massive economic growth and lift up the hardworking citizens who make this country run, the factory workers, farmers, mechanics, waiters, waitresses.
For farmers, the bill includes key improvements to reference prices, crop insurance, ARC and PLC, trade promotion, and animal disease prevention, plus small business and equipment tax breaks. The House narrowly passed the Senate version of Trump's bill after a nonstop two-day session, including a Democrat-led talkathon to delay the final vote that came anyway.
On this vote, the yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
The signed bill allows a one-time voluntary allocation of new base acres, requires annual election of either ARC or PLC, boosts the ARC guarantee, and hikes payment limits from $125,000 to $155,000. The Senate scaled back the House's SNAP program cost shifting to the states, but still saves some $230 billion, expands SNAP work requirements, and ends the USDA Secretary's unitary power to hike benefits. The Senate also preserved the 45Z clean fuel credit, which will be key to a huge future biofuels market in aviation, but ended other Biden-era climate credits for wind and solar power. Well, the stocks and grain commodities fell yesterday after President Donald Trump posted letters on social media to the presidents of Japan and South Korea declaring 25% tariffs on products from both countries. The letters, however, were the first part of the effort to delay the Trump administration's self-imposed July 9th deadline for other countries to reach trade deals. Caroline Leavitt, the White House spokesperson, said Monday that 12 other countries would receive similar letters. Trump would sign an executive order to extend the deadline for reaching a trade deal to August 1st, Leavitt said. Japan is the number 5 market for the United States agricultural exports, and South Korea is number 6. Last year, they came in behind Mexico, Canada, China, and the European Union 27 as top markets for commodities, according to the USDA. Well, each growing season brings its own insect challenges, but some patterns repeat year after year. As we move through July, there are several key pests to watch for in Ohio fields. Soybean defoliators like Japanese beetles and caterpillars are showing up. While they may look alarming, soybeans can handle more damage than you think, so don't rush to spray. Focus on average damage across the field, not just the edges. Potato leaf hoppers are active in alfalfa through September. In corn, July is a prime time for western bean cutworm, though its pressure varies year to year. Also keep an eye out for stink bugs in soybeans as pods start to form. Like many pests, they tend to gather around the edges of the field, so targeted edge sprays may be enough. For more on this topic, you can find this today at ohioagnet.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back with your grain analysis and your overnight markets after this.
AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio is your Medicaid plan for more. More benefits, more rewards. We know that good health means more than just seeing a doctor when you're sick. Eligible members can receive extras like home-delivered meals and family essentials, like baby carriers and kids' school supplies. Members can even earn rewards for playing mobile health trivia games. Learn more at AmeriHealthCaritasOH.com and call the Ohio Medicaid Consumer Hotline at 1-800-324-8680 to choose AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio.
If your summer road trip leads you to Ohio's farm country, be sure to share the road with Ohio's farmers. Farm machinery moves slowly, makes wide turns, and needs extra space to avoid obstacles like mailboxes and guardrails. Let's all be mindful and make sure everyone gets home safe and sound this year. This message brought to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
It's now time for today's market analysis, which is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Call 574-566-2113 for information on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finish mostly lower for the day. Well, that's probably not strong enough. Sharply lower for the day on Monday. Now everybody's waiting for one thing, turnaround Tuesday. I'll even take a dead cat bounce Tuesday at this point. Markets were down pretty hard on Monday. Soybeans were just above a 30-cent loss, down 24 to 28.5. Corn down anywhere from 13 to 17, and the wheat markets were down only single digits after trading double digits lower through most of the day. The sharply lower move came on active morning volume yesterday. We kind of slowed the bleeding a little bit midday and afternoon. Soybeans and soybean oil were the downside leaders. Speculative length got out of the market because traders are now coming to understand that the U.S.-China trade deal is not anything that's going to be happening anytime soon. Actually, on the flip side, yesterday, there started to be a list released by the Trump administration on tariffs, and it was an interesting list. Almost a dozen countries were talked about on this list as we went through the day. As we kind of come through it a little bit after the fact, we go back down through the list this way. Japan, 25% tariff that starts August 1. Korea, 25% August 1. Malaysia, Kazakhstan in that as well. South Africa, 30% reciprocal tariff. Laos, 40%. Myanmar, 40%. And we're hearing that more and more of these letters that are being sent out, the tariffs are being announced first on social media, and then the letters sent out to the country. There are more coming. We are going to be seeing whether any of them get to Europe or some of these other countries. We had some late additions get late in the day yesterday. Tunisia, Bosnia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Serbia, Cambodia, Thailand. All of them came out after the close yesterday. So that's going to be a story that we watch in the days ahead. But going back to the story on beans and bean oil yesterday, clearly China's not coming to the table anytime soon, or we're not going to invite them to the table. So after the July 9th timeframe, when China's reprieve goes off the books, what happens then? China already buying beans out of Argentina for what would normally be a new crop U.S. delivery period. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Now let's take a look at your overnight trade brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Starting with July corn, 416.5, down 1.5. December new crop corn, 419.75, down a penny. July soybeans, 1040.5, up 8 3/4. November soybeans, 1021.5, up 3/4. And July wheat, 539.75, no change. Now looking at livestock from yesterday's close, August live cattle 215.90, up $1.85. October live cattle 212.95, up $2.05. July lean hogs 106.95, down $1.02. August lean hogs 107.10, up $1. September feeder cattle 313.52, up $4.15, and October feeder cattle 311.35, up $4.20. To stay up to date on all the latest farm news, you can always find that at ohioagnet.com. Thanks for joining us and have a great day, everyone. I'm Joe Everett, and you're listening to the Ohio AgNet.